Oilers, you got a great offense with Connor McDavid. So I have them sweeping them.
Yeah, well, I don't think you heard my point. The San Francisco Giants have 3 more in the 2010s than the Rangers have in their entire history. So, yeah.
It's hard to get back and to get back-to-back wins, and I don't see the Lightning doing it here, so I have them losing to the Hurricanes in 6.
We don't talk about the 2010s because the 2010s had the Astros, and if the Astros didn't happen, the Yankees would have won in 2017 with the Dodgers.
He was close to Frank Reich, and they want Frank Reich back, so that's what they got. It's their discount Frank Reich.
Kaprizov and the rest of this crew, Jordan Greenway, who doesn't get enough props. He definitely is somebody who needs to be mentioned more.
Hi, this is Julie Dobbs. You're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. The award winners were announced. We're getting to it. I wanted to spend a lot of time on this, and pretty impressive, I would say, especially when we get to the MVPs. We'll save that for a little bit. And yeah, I think there was one question. Well, I'm pretty sure I can guess which one you have thoughts on, Austin, and that's the man I'm talking to, Austin, but I'll let you start.
Yeah, so there was I don't think there's that many awards that ruffle my feathers too much. We can really start anywhere. Do you just want me to go into any of them?
Let's go with Cy Young. I think this is one you called. You predicted.
I did predict before the year Tariq Skubal. Yep, I thought he was the best pitcher in the AL. Him and Garrett Cole, but I thought that Corbin Burns, but I thought Skubal was going to be the guy, and he was. And him and Chris Sale, the guy who won in the NL, very similar pitch style. Both lefties, both have a pitch sequence, same pitch mix. They seem like clones of each other. And if you look at their stats, they're basically all the same. It's really weird. But kudos to both of them. I thought both of those were pretty easy choices.
Yeah, I remember we debated near the beginning of the year about AL and NL, and I had brought up, I think, Ranger Suarez. But yeah, Chris Sale really pulled away. And yeah, now that you mentioned stats, I know we're not a big fan of wins here for pitchers, but it's 18-3 for Chris Sale and then 18-4 for Tariq Skubal. And yeah, 2.3 ERA, 2.38 ERA, 2.39 for Skubal. And it was really cool for Skubal, who was a young guy who a lot of people I remember predicting. I remember I was listening to one podcast and they're like, Skubal is going to be the guy. And he really did become the guy. And it was nice to see a guy where he was kind of forgotten about. And then he ends up with the Braves and Chris Sale. And he really had an impressive year. He had a career high in wins. And yeah, well, both great pitchers. I think solid award winners. Next, we can go to Manager of the Year. Not surprised with either of these. I think Stephen Vaught, we were talking about him. What a year for the Guardians in general, and to get Manager of the Year in his first season. They played well, even though it was sad in the postseason. A nice way to start the career, especially after, I would say, there were questions because Stephen Vaught, they're just like, okay, he was a former catcher. Is this really going to work? And it did work.
Yeah, Stephen Vogt was an amazing manager, and I was not shocked at all by this. I think this was the right choice.
Yeah, and I agree with Vogt as the Manager of the Year, and also with the Brewers, given just the situation the Brewers did with the young players and Pat Murphy winning was pretty exciting, and just two small market teams with Manager of the Years.
Yeah, and I do agree that this is probably the right choice as well.
Yeah, and then as we are looking over, we'll go into Rookie of the Year. You got your Yankee AL Rookie of the Year. I was sad Wyatt Langford didn't get finalist. I didn't think he'd win, but I was surprised he didn't get a finalist.
Right. I think there was some talk about Colton Cowser and some other guys, but I do believe that the right choice was Louis Hill. I think his importance to the team, he made starts in the World Series. I know that doesn't obviously matter, but he was a core guy to this team that won a lot of games. He wasn't just another guy on the roster, and I do think he deserved AL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I agree. He deserved it. I didn't really see a hitter. Heal was pretty incredible and with his pitching and what he did for the Yankees. I'll go into the NL, which I'm curious what you thought, but Paul Skeens, he's a guy 1.96 ERA, and he was just lighting up the stat gun with his pitching, just his fastball, and he was a guy that really came on the league by storm. Number 1 overall pick. I want to say last year, or is it this year?
No, it was not this year.
Okay, it was last year. Okay, so it was Wyatt Langford. Saying I couldn't remember, but the only, I guess, question or the only asterisk or debate was the number of innings he did.
I think by the end of the year, I could see the argument. I obviously thought that some of the other rookies that were up for contention maybe impacted their team more because they played in more games. But I don't hate the choice, and I know that he's one of the more popular guys to win it, so him winning it's not obviously all that shocking because a lot of people are fans of Paul Skeens and everything about him. I do think that he was. I don't like that he was third in Cy Young voting. I will say that. I thought that him only pitching in 23 games while all the guys around him are pitching 29 or 33 or 32 or around 30. So around 7 or 8 more games, 7 to 10 more games. And he only pitched in 133 innings where guys like some guys that finished behind him. I mean, Logan Webb pitched in 204. He's really with like 60 to 40 to 70 innings less than some of the guys. I don't like that he was second in that, even though he did obviously have a 1.96 ERA. I thought Shoto Imanaga, who had a 2.91, should have probably been above him, but that is what it is. If you go looking more rookie of the year, I thought Jackson Merrill had a very strong case, 292 batting average, 4.4 B WAR. But I do think that Skeens winning it isn't all that shocking. Again, Shota Imanaga was another one though that he's a rookie. I said it should have been higher on Cy Young. I thought he was also a guy that should have maybe won Rookie of the Year. He had a 2.91 ERA in 29 games, 15-3 record. I know we don't always love record. 1.021 WHIP. So, I mean, I understand it. It's just his innings difference. I do think that matters at a point. When a guy has 40 more innings, yes, it's impressive that you have a 1.96 ERA, but what would you do in those next 40 innings when you have more time to see more film on a guy? I do think that can impact a player's performance.
Yeah, and I was happy with the pick. I know just the innings were a question. It's a valid question. I would also say the NL seemed pretty stacked on rookies because you also have the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, Jackson Churio.
Yeah, Churio. Yeah, you mentioned Jackson Merrill. Just quite an impressive slate of rookies. So that you can't give them to them all, but Skeens really had the popularity and the narrative going for him, but he also played incredibly well in just what he did for the Pirates. Yeah.
I'm just interested to see how he does with more film on him, right? Because I do think that'll impact how our player plays. That's why there's a sophomore slump for a lot of players, is that after someone realizes how good someone is, they watch a lot of film, they see their weaknesses and adjust to it. And when you're only pitching in 23 games instead of 30, those 7 games could have increased your ERA a lot. I mean, the difference between him and Shota Imanaga is less than a 1. It's 2.91, which is extremely impressive, and 1.96, which is obviously also extremely impressive. It's just one thing to say is in 133 innings, Paul Skeens had more walks than Shota Imanaga did. And that's, again, 40 less innings. But we'll have to see. I think next year is really going to be a test for Skeens because, again, there's going to be a lot of film on him. But he's an extremely talented pitcher, so I'm excited to see how he does next year.
Yeah, I do think you bring up a great point in the film, and it's an adjustment league. How does he adjust to hitters adjusting to him? Because they know that fastball's coming, and just what else can he do? What pitches can he improve on? But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for all these because I forgot Yamamoto was also a rookie. You mentioned Imanaga, but yeah, it was. I'm very excited to see how all these rookies do. But Paul Skeens, especially, just given he's with the Pirates and he was the number 1 overall pick, and he rushed through the minors and it was dominated.
Yeah, another guy that I'm kind of shocked is Reynaldo Lopez with the Braves. He had a 1.99 ERA in 2 more innings, or 2 and 2/3 more innings than Paul Skeens, but he was 11th in Cy Young voting, while Skeens was obviously much higher. And the difference in ERA is 1.96 to 1.99, and Reynaldo Lopez, again, 2 and 2/3 more innings. I feel like some of it is narrative, but he's an extremely talented pitcher, so we'll obviously see.
Yeah, that's the one where I can see the argument. You mentioned Ronaldo Lopez, and that's the thing with Skeens. But we'll go to, I believe that leaves the MVPs, correct?
Yes, it does. Both of them were unanimous. Judge, I think, was the more obvious of the two. Judge had one of the best hitting seasons we've ever seen, a slugging over 700, which is unheard of. And we can always talk about postseason, but during the regular season, it was not close. It was Aaron Judge was the obvious choice. Again, one of the best seasons I think any of us have ever seen, especially from a guy that had a lot of talk about can he back up what he did in 2022, and he did. He had 58 homers, 144 RBIs, 322 batting average, 458 on base percentage, which is significantly higher than anyone else, and he was definitely the right choice.
Yeah, I agree. He had an impressive season. He was on pace for a lot of homers. He hit 58 home runs. It was also, you mentioned his slugging, and he really makes that Yankees offense go. Does help with Juan Soto, but he was someone that really filled that hole and pushed that team. And it's a regular season award. He didn't have the best postseason, but this is what he did in the regular season, and it was definitely MVP worthy. And yeah, I would have understood it with Soto, but it just makes sense that Judge was the MVP given his stats. And yeah, it was really, I couldn't see an argument for other players in the AL besides Judge or even Soto.
Yeah, well, I mean, Witt was obviously amazing, but that offense went as Judge went and won as Judge won. During the postseason, we got great performances from Stanton, but Stanton missed a lot of games. It didn't play as well during the regular season. When Judge missed time at all, I mean, he only missed 4 games, but when Judge misses time, the Yankees are worse. And that's a true definition of an MVP.
Yeah, I forgot Witt was also, and Witt did have an impressive season, but it was just almost record setting with Judge because he was close. Like, I bet it was close with his home runs and what he was doing with 58 home runs. There were points where he's like, could he do it again? And that's something that stood out and just what the Yankees do. But yeah, there is that fall off, I think, compared to Witt, and we'll just have to see what happens. But now with the NL, you had Ohtani, and then I believe it was Ketel Marte and Francisco Lindor with the other.
Yeah, Lindor was next. Ketel missed some time, which is why I understand why he wasn't chosen. My problem with Ohtani is that he doesn't play defense. Obviously, when he's a pitcher, that will change, obviously. But if you're looking at defensive runs saved and a lot of these other stats, I mean, you just look at defensive wins above replacement for Lindor, 1.2, where Ohtani is a null. He just doesn't play defense, which is fine when you're hitting as well as him. And he did have a 50-50 season, so I understand why he did. And people always bring up, oh, well, Judge isn't a great defender. Well, he had no errors all season, which is, I had mentioned to a friend right before in the World Series in the game we lost, he commits the error, the first error all season. And while he doesn't have the greatest range in the world, Judge, he's playing defense. He's impacting the game defensively, and he's playing well defensively. So I I do like when a player is not just a DH and wins it, because I do think that DH is, they only have to worry about one part of the game, and I do think that can. It's a lot more impressive when a guy like Ketel Marte or Francisco Lindor does what they do than Ohtani. But obviously, that's going to change next season when Ohtani's pitching again and he becomes the obvious best player in the world. So,
Yeah, to your point about Judge and defense, he does also play center field, which is a demanding position, or right field. But yeah, with Ohtani, he was the first full-time DH to earn the award, but it definitely was warranted. I was surprised it was unanimous, just given that he was only hitting, but he did hit 310.
and my thing is they also have a lot of really good players. Like Mookie Betts is getting votes. Freddie Freeman is getting votes. It's not really the same with the Lindor or with the Ketel Marte. No one else on the Mets got a vote. No one else on the Diamondbacks got a vote. You have to, and while yes, Juan Soto gets votes, the Yankees hitting was atrocious. It was literally just Judge and Soto. That's not the same with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have a lot of guys that were hitting extremely well. The Dodgers' problem this season was pitching more than it was hitting. The Dodgers, if you look at their starting lineup this past year, everyone besides Jason Hayward, when Jason Hayward only played 63 games. So actually, it's funny because Mookie played so many different positions, they don't even have him in the starting lineup. So when you insert him in, everybody who started or played at least 100 games for them had a OPS plus over 100. That is not the same with the Yankees. When if you look at the Yankees from last year, you have Austin Wells at 103, Stanton at 115, Gleyber Torres at 101. Obviously, you have Judge and Soto, but then you have 81 from Rizzo. You have 86 from Volpe, who played 160 games. Verdugo, 83. Oswaldo Cabrera, 87. Even the bench guys like Jose Trevino, 81. Trent Grissom, 90. We didn't have a lot of guys hitting extremely well that played a lot of games. While with the Dodgers, they had a lot of guys hitting extremely well. So that's a little bit of the difference, but I understand why Ohtani won it, and I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, and he did have a 50-50 season, but overall solid players selected for all these awards, and something we didn't expect. I guess Ohtani. Well, Ohtani's was a question just because it's usually an easy answer. Well, he's pitching and hitting. This time it was just hitting, and made history with a full-time DH. But that is all I got. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know how you guys thought about the awards, who you guys thought would win it, who did win it, and please catch you in our next video.